We begin today the laws of the service of the Holy Temple on Yom Kippur. Avodas Yom Kippur. Chapter 1. It contains one positive commandment. It is to perform the service on the Day of Atonement in regard to the sacrifices, confessions, sending away the scapegoat, and the remainder of service. Right? This is the way it was in the Holy Temple. The mitzvah is explained in ensuing chapters. Okay. On the fast day of Yom Kippur, we sacrifice a continuous offering in the morning and in the late afternoon, according to the order followed every day, right? What would be done every day? So that's called Korban Tamid, Shachar, Tamid Tamid Shachar. The continuous, Tamid means continuous, the daily offering, or another term would be the daily offering. You have the three chapters?
No, it's one separate.
Yeah, you need the three chapters. Oh, it's missing the second booklet. Where's the other booklet? 1 second.
Journal.
Yeah, I think it's sure it's or yeah.
Something is wrong with this. It won't let.
Okay. So there's the morning and the afternoon, and the additional service on the day of a day are offered: a bull, a ram, 7 sheep. All of these are burnt offerings, and a sin offering of a goat, whose service is performed outside and which will be eaten in the evening. Besides these additional offerings are sacrificed the following: a young ox as a sin offering, it is burned; a ram as a burnt offering, both of these are brought by the Kohen Gadol, the high priest; a ram which is brought from the communal funds that is mentioned in the passage Achri Mois. It is a ram mentioned in the book of Numbers as part of the additional offering. It is called the ram of the people. He's just giving the generality over here, and the details will follow. In addition, 2 goats are brought from communal funds. One is offered as sin offering and burnt, and the other is sent to the Azazel, as we will learn more about. Thus, there are a total of 15 animal sacrifices on this day: 2 continuous offerings, a bull, 2 rams, 7 sheep. These are all burnt offerings, 2 goats as sin offerings, 1 offered outside the temple building, which is eaten in the evening, and 1 whose blood is offered in the temple building, and which is burnt in the bull of the high priest, which is a sin offering that is burned. Okay. So the sacrificial service for all these 15 animals that are offered on this day may be performed only by the Kohen Gadol on this day. It applies both to the Kohen Gadol appointed with the oil of anointment, or initiated into office by wearing the garments of the high priest. In the second Holy Temple, they didn't have the oil to anoint. So there's 2 ways that Kohen Gadol, high priest, could be anointed. One is the main way is through anointing of oil. And if there wasn't the oil, so then it was just the garb that they wore, right? Because they wore 8 garbs as opposed to a regular Kohen 4. Okay. If Yom Kippur fell on Shabbos, even the additional offerings on Shabbos would be sacrificed only by the Kohen Gadol. Right, so everything on this day, Kohen Gadol, the high priest. Similarly, all of the other services performed on this day, the offering of the daily incense offering, the kindling of the menorahs, lamps, are all performed by a married Kohen Gadol, high priest, as it says, and he shall atone for himself and his household. His household refers to his wife. For 7 days prior to Yom Kippur, the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, departs from his home and stays in his chamber in the temple. This is a tradition received from Moshe, our teacher. In other words, it's not a biblical law. It's not written anywhere, right? Just give me 1 second. Just see. Maybe it is.
This is everything together or just what I did?
It's all boxes are right.
We don't have any volunteers today, right? Because Paul has to be forgetting.
Okay, sorry. You want to let Tim in, please? Okay. So he's separated from his wife for the 7 days, lest his wife become nida in the midst of the relations, and he become impure for 7 days, and thus unable to perform the temple service. Right? He has to be pure, and therefore he's separated. A substitute high priest, Kohen Gadol, is prepared so that if this one becomes disqualified, the other may serve instead of him. So Yom Kippur, it's a big day. Service is amazing, is unbelievable, and therefore there has to be a ready in place Sgan Kohen Gadol, a substitute Kohen Gadol, just in case, right? When the disqualifying factor takes place, when offering the continuous offering in the morning, or a disqualifying factor occurred after he offered his sacrifice, the replacement need not be installed in his office by offering a special sacrifice, which usually would have to be special sacrifice, right, to be inaugurated. It said the performance of the sacrificial service on the day installs him. But whatever you did that day, that is your installation. You should begin with the service where the other ceased. Okay. After Yom Kippur, the first Kohen Gadol resumes his position, the second ceases to serve in that capacity, right? Remember, it was special for that day. He became impurified for whatever reason, or something happened that disqualified him, but he doesn't lose his position. All of the mitzvahs incumbent on the Kohen Gadol are incumbent on him, but he does not carry out the service of the Kohen Gadol, right? Because he became disqualified. If he does perform that service, his service is acceptable. When the first dies, he is appointed in his place, right? So if the Kohen Gadol actually died on Yom Kippur, which happened often,
No.
in the second Holy Temple, it happened. Yeah. He gave me a count to 712, I think he said, but you'll check. Okay. During these 7 days, he is sprinkled with the ashes of red heifer, huh?
7:12.
Right, but count the individual. And there was, okay. Okay, excellent.
Is that
Huh?
all? Because I'm submitting the form.
Well, the out-of-town ones are not part of this,
I'll
right?
do that over here.
Right, I'm saying that's not part of it, right? Okay, so he sprinkled the red ashes, the red heifer on the third day after he was separated, and on the 7th day, which is the day before Yom Kippur, lest he have contracted impurity from a corpse unknowingly, right? Maybe he came in contact with the corpse. So just to make sure 100% that he is pure, he goes through the red heifer process. If the 3rd and the 7th day and the sprinkling falls out on Shabbos, the sprinkling is not performed because it's only, right, on Shabbos you're not allowed to do it, so you don't do it on that day. The sprinkling is not performed. Right. In other words, he's not going to get purified in this process because it's only a doubt. Shabbos, you're not allowed to do it.
So easy to come to the
Right, but it's only out of doubt that he may have come in contact with a corpse. So therefore, we're taking extra precautionary. But if it falls out on Shabbos, we don't do it.
Okay.
Right? Number 5. For all of these 7 days, he is trained to perform the temple service. He casts the blood on the altar, offers the incense, kindles the lamps, and offers the limbs of the continuous offering on the altar's pyre, so that he will be familiar with the temple service. Because remember, the Kohen Gadol not necessarily did the service before, right? He doesn't have to do it in a regular basis. A regular Kohen can do all of the services that there are on a daily or even a Shabbos. He doesn't have to do it. So he may just have been inaugurated, right, just recently. So he may not have the experience. So these 7 days, he is training. He is given sages from the elders of the court who read the relevant passages for him and teach him the service necessary to be performed on the holy day and its order. They tell him, my sir, Kohen Gadol, read by yourself, or perhaps you have forgotten, or you have never learned this point. On the day before Yom Kippur in the morning, they would have him stand on the eastern gates of the temple courtyard and cause bulls, rams, and sheep to pass before him so that he would be familiar and accustomed with the temple service. Throughout the 7 days, food and drink are not withheld from him. Nevertheless, on the day before Yom Kippur, before nightfall, they would not let him eat amply, for indulge in food leads to sleep. And they would not let him sleep, lest he would have a seminal emission. They would not feed him foods that increase semen, eggs, warm milk, and the like. Right? So he didn't go to sleep on Yom Kippur. In the era of the Second Temple, a heresy erupted in Israel, and the Sadducees emerged. May they be speedily perished. The Sadducees believed only in the written Torah, not in the oral Torah, right? They didn't believe in the oral Torah, and who would maintain that the incense offering on Kippur would be placed on fire in the sanctuary outside the Paraiches, and then when its smoke rose up, they would bring it into the Holy of Holies. The rationale was that the interpreter's phrase, if a cloud, for in a cloud I will appear on the Kapairis, as referring to the cloud of the incense offering. In contrast, according to the oral tradition, our sages learned that the Kohen Gadol should place the incense on the coals only in the Holy of Holies before the ark. Right? And he shall place the incense on the fire before God, since the second temple. Right. Since the Second Temple era, the sages suspected the high priest tends towards such heresy. They would have him take an oath on the preceding Yom Kippur. They would tell him, my sir, Kohen Gadol, we are agents of the court, and you are an agent of the court. And you are our agent and an agent of the court. We administer an oath to you in the name of he, referring to God, who causes his name to dwell in this house, that you not deviate at all from what we told you. The Kohen Gadol would turn away and cry because they suspected him of heresy. And they would turn away and cry because they placed suspicion on a person whose conduct was unknown. Maybe he had no such thoughts in his heart. Right, so it was a traumatic scene, right? That this is what they had to do. But because there was so much heresy going on in the Second Temple, right, it was a bought position. Yeah. Throughout the entire night of Yom Kippur, the Kohen Gadol would sit and expound Torah teachings if he was a sage. If he was a scholar, expositions were delivered in his presence. If he would frequently read the Torah, he would read aloud. If not, they would read it for him so that he would not sleep. What would they read for him? The Holy Scriptures. If sought to doze off, the young Levites would snap their fingers before him and say, my sir, Kohen Gadol, stand up, put your feet on the ground so that you would not sleep. They would keep him busy until the time for the slaughter of the morning sacrifice arrived. They would not have the sacrificial animal slaughtered until they were certain that dawn had broken, lest the animal be slaughtered at night. Let's do chapter 2. All the procedures involving the offering of the continuous offerings, additional offerings of this day are performed by the Kohen Gadol while he was wearing his golden garments. Right? The unique service of this day, by contrast, was performed while he was wearing his white garments. When he went into the holies in the Holy of Holies, he wore only white garments, which was unique for Yom Kippur. But if he was doing the regular outside service, or even if it wasn't regular, but it was outside service, he would wear his priestly high priest garments of all 8. The unique service of the day are the offering of the bull brought by the Kohen Gadol, the offering of the 2 goats, including the one of the to Azazel, the offering the incense in the Holy of Holies. All of these services are performed wearing white garments. Whenever a Kohen Gadol must change his clothes, removing one set of garments and putting on the others, he must immerse himself in a mikvah. As it says, and he shall remove the linen garments, which are the 4 white ones, right? And wash his flesh with water in a holy place and put on his garments. Wash his flesh means immersion in the mikvah. Kohen Gadol would immerse himself 5 times and sanctify his hands and feet 10 times on that day. What does imply? At the outset, he would remove the ordinary garments he was wearing and immerse himself. He would ascend, dry himself, and put on the golden garments and sanctify his hands and feet. He would slaughter the continuous offering, which is the daily offering, offer the daily morning incense, and kindle the lamps of the menorah. This is all regular stuff, right? Done on a daily basis. He would then offer the limbs and the continuous offering on the pyre of the altar, together with the chavitim offering and the wine libations, all daily stuff. Chavitim is what he would bring daily. He would then offer the bull and the 7 sheep of the additional offering of the day. Afterwards, he would sanctify his hands and feet and remove his golden garments. He would immerse himself, ascend, dry himself, put on his white garments, and sanctify his hands and feet. He would then perform the unique service of the day, reciting all the confessions, performing the lottery of the goats, sprinkling the blood in the temple building, and offering the incense offering in the Holy of Holies. He would entrust the goat to one who would send it to Azazel, remove the fats of the organs of the bull and the goat that will be burned, and entrust the remainder to the one who will burn them. Afterwards, he would sanctify his hands and feet and remove the white garments. He would immerse himself again in the mikveh and dry himself and put on golden garments and sanctify his hands and feet. He would then offer the sin offering of the goat, of the additional offerings of the day, his ram, and the ram of the people. These are all burnt offerings. He would offer the fats and the organs of the bull and the goat that were burnt, and offer the continuous offering of the afternoon. Afterwards, he sanctified his hands and feet. And guess what? Removes the golden garments. He would immerse himself in sand, dry himself, and put on white garments, and sanctify his hands and feet. Then we enter the Holy of Holies and remove the incense ladle and the fire pan. Afterwards, he would sanctify his hands and feet, remove the white garments, immerse himself, ascend, dry himself, and put on golden garments, and sanctify his hands and feet. He would then offer the daily afternoon incense, offering and kindle the lamps of the menorah for the afternoon. He would then sanctify his hands and feet, remove the golden garments, put on his ordinary clothes, and depart because he'd finish all of Yom Kippur. Okay, we're going to stop over here. Sorry, we can't continue.
Thank you, Rabbi Khan.
Thank you, Rabbi.
God bless. Thank you. Bye-bye.